Hello friends, we'll be talking about quadrilaterals in this session. So friends, let's first talk about trapezium. Trapezium is a type of quadrilateral, and as we know that quadrilaterals are four-sided closed figures, and their sum of the interior angle is always 360 degree. So now trapezium is one type of quadrilateral in which one pair of opposite sides are parallel. So if we see this trapezium, we see that this side AB is parallel to DC. So this is one of the conditions of a trapezium, and the sum of the angles A and D is 180 degree, and the sum of B and C is 180 degrees. So that means that the sum of one pair of adjacent angles is 180 degree. Now if the non-parallel side, which is AD and BC, if they happen to be equal, then it is a special case of trapezium which is called isosceles trapezium, and in isosceles trapezium the base angles are also equal. So angle D becomes equal to angle C, and the diagonals AC and BD will be equal, which is true only in case of isosceles trapezium. So friends, now let's talk about another quadrilateral, which is kite. A kite is a quadrilateral in which two pairs of adjacent sides are equal. So we have this kite here where AD and AB are adjacent sides and they are equal. So this is one pair, and second is DC and CB. So this is another pair of adjacent sides which are equal. So in this case we need to remember that the opposite sides AD and BC are not equal to each other, because then in that case it will become a different type of quadrilateral which is called rhombus. So as we just said, AB is equal to AD and BC is equal to DC. The opposite sides are not equal. The diagonals of a kite intersect at 90 degrees. So we are saying angle AOD is equal to angle AOB is equal to angle BOC is equal to angle DOC, and all of them are 90 degree. So now let's talk about parallelograms. Parallelograms are those quadrilateral where the opposite sides are equal and parallel, which means that AB is equal to CD and AD is equal to BC. So this is the opposite sides are equal, and AB is parallel to CD and AD is parallel to BC. So this is the condition for a quadrilateral to be parallelogram. The diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, which would mean that AO is equal to OC and OD is equal to OB. Sum of any two adjacent angles is 180 degree and opposite angles are equal. So this means the sum of any two adjacent angles, which means angle A plus angle D is also 180 degree and angle A plus angle B is also 180 degree. Similarly, angle C plus angle B is 180 degree and angle C plus angle D is 180 degree. So which would mean that if we say that angle A plus angle D is equal to angle A plus angle B, this necessarily means that angle B and angle D are equal. Similarly, angle A and angle C are also equal. Each diagonal divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So if we say AC is the diagonal, then the two triangles formed are congruent to each other. And if we take BD as the diagonal, then again the other two corresponding triangles are congruent. So friends, now we'll look at special cases of parallelogram. So we know rectangle, and now rectangle as a special case of parallelogram we'll see. So as we know in a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal and parallel. So which means if we look at this figure, we can say AB is equal to CD and AD is equal to BC. And they are also parallel. So AB is parallel to CD and AD is parallel to BC. So we are saying AB is parallel to DC and AD parallel to BC. So now the specific condition which is met only in case of rectangle is that all the angles are 90 degree. Angle A is equal to angle B is equal to angle C is equal to angle D, and all of them are 90 degree. The diagonals in case of a rectangle are equal. So we are saying DB is equal to AC. So this is not the case with the normal parallelogram, but rectangle is a special case of parallelogram, meets this criteria. And the diagonals bisect each other, which is also true for the parallelogram. So AO is equal to OC and BO is equal to OD. And since both the diagonals are equal, so all of these will be equal. So AO is equal to OC is equal to OB is equal to OD. And each diagonal divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So we are saying if we take BD, then the two triangles formed are congruent to each other. Let's now talk about another special parallelogram, which is rhombus. So as the parallelogram says, opposite sides are parallel and equal. So we have AB parallel to CD and AD parallel to BC. Now as a special case of parallelogram, in a rhombus, all the sides are equal. So AB is equal to CD is equal to AD is equal to BC. The diagonals intersect each other at 90 degree. So which is not the case for a normal parallelogram, but for rhombus they intersect each other at 90 degree. Diagonals bisect the opposite angles. So we are saying angle ADB is equal to angle BDC. Similarly, all the opposite angles are bisected by the diagonals. Then diagonals bisect each other, as is the case with all the parallelograms. Sum of any two adjacent angles is 180 degree and opposite angles are equal, which is also true for the parallelograms. And each diagonal divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So these three conditions which are underlined, these three conditions are special for rhombus. Now we'll talk about special parallelogram case, which is square, and it can also be called a special rhombus. So here again we have opposite sides which are parallel. So we have AB parallel to CD and AD parallel to BC. All the sides are equal, as was the case with rhombus. So AB is equal to BC is equal to CD is equal to AD. All the angles are equal to 90 degree. So now this condition is different from the rhombus condition. Diagonals are equal. This is also not true in rhombus. So this is special in case of squares. The diagonals intersect each other at 90 degree, as is the case with rhombus. Diagonals bisect the opposite angles. Diagonals bisect each other, as is the case with all parallelograms. Sum of any two adjacent angles is 180 degree and opposite angles are equal. And each angle divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So these two conditions in yellow and underlined, these are the conditions which are special conditions for square, and the conditions which are in green and underlined, these are the conditions which are same as the conditions of rhombus, and the other conditions are all the conditions of the standard parallelograms. Friends, I hope you enjoyed the session. If you find it useful, please like it and share it with your friends. You can visit us at our Cool Smart Learning website and post your queries there. And please subscribe to the Cool Smart Learning channel for getting updates on the new sessions. Thank you.